Thanks, Chair Cora. Minister, to put it very mildly, renters and especially young people who want to live independently are really struggling. If the cost of rent doesn't lock you out of the market, it puts huge financial burdens on workers and on their families. People from all walks of life are struggling to pay their rent. The families need to rent a house for themselves and their children are struggling. Young workers starting out in their careers are struggling to pay rent. Hard-working people cannot keep pace with the cost of rent. In Limerick, the rent increase in Q4 of 2021 was 14.1%. The average rent in my home county is $1,203 per month, which in fairness hardly anything to rent there. With a rising rate of inflation of 6.7% in March, people are paying more in rent but with less income available. The rise in rents are one of the huge challenges facing renters. The other is the almost zero number of properties available to rent. The number of available properties in the market has been falling for 5 years. On daft.ie in Limerick City this morning, there were 5 properties available to rent. There was only 1 house available. The cheapest of these properties was €1,200 per month, and that was for a studio in the suburbs of Dooradile. A 3-bedroom apartment in the city centre was listed at €2,750 per month. These are outrageous prices that most families would struggle to afford. For too long, the government has depended on the housing assistance payment. It is not suitable. The rates haven't increased in a decade. In my experience in Limerick, it is either an insufficient amount to aid with renting, or in many cases, a prospective tenant who is eligible for HAP is simply not considered by the landlord. HAP helps little, but what can and will help is the speeding up of the delivery of new social housing. Last week, I met John and Aoife, who have nowhere to live. Their previous rental property was sold. Both work and have a young child in primary school. The limit for social support in Limerick City Council for them is €32,250, which is below what they earn. So no help for them. There are thousands like this, and the Minister and his government have failed to increase these limits. Social housing income limits have not been changed since they were last set in 2011. They must be raised at least in line with inflation. As John and Aoife can't rent, they can't buy, they can't get a social support, where are they supposed to go? What's going to happen to them? What help is there to increase What would help is an increase in social housing income thresholds. They are simply too low, and way too many people are excluded from social housing or state support because they earn too much and at the same time too little to afford a mortgage or even rent. The rental crisis is one that this government and its housing minister seems incapable of solving. The crisis has a knock-on effect when it comes to homelessness and overcrowding. It is simply an issue that must be addressed. We Sinn Féin believe that renters can be rescued. It's time for the government to step up and ensure that they increase investment in delivery of affordable and cost rental houses. In the meantime, they could increase social housing income thresholds, introduce a 3-year ban on rent increases, and introduce a refundable tax credit of 1 month's rent.